Now we're getting close to the Nintendo Switch online service launching, specifically the paid online service, where we'll of course have NES games to play that have added online functionality, which sounds cool because it sounds like we'll be able to play with people much like we did on the NES days, where you pass the controller for something like Mario 3, but you can play over the internet and you don't need them, I guess, right next to you to do that. Of course, it sounds like you also have to use that voice app on the cell phone, and that's kind of a shame. But we've been kind of waiting to hear something about this paid online service. We assume there's going to have to be some sort of update for the Nintendo Switch, possibly going from 5 to then 6 for the firmware version. Usually those are big jumps, right? Supposedly they're supposed to be. I know the jump to 5 wasn't massive for the end user, but it was pretty large for security purposes and things to kind of combat people who are hacking the system essentially. It was pretty large in that regard, but it does seem like 6.0.0 would more than likely be large for us, the end user, because it probably will introduce the foundation and the framework to go online. We'll have the paid online service, which we assume should include that cloud save support and hopefully offline save support backup. We'll see how that all goes. But what's interesting about this situation is we've been kind of waiting to hear about it. We haven't heard anything really other than a few things here and there, like, oh, Mario 3 will be a part of it and it'll have online functionality. You'll be able to chat. You'll be able to back up your saves to the cloud. But not much about when, just second half of September. Well, a prominent member of the data mining and the hacking scene, if you will, for the Nintendo Switch has talked a bit about when we can expect it and possibly what we can expect from this update. This is all rumor. That's why this is Rumor Wave, because we haven't heard anything from Nintendo. But this is a person who has been correct in the past, and of course they spend quite a bit of time data mining and checking out internals of the Switch when it comes to programming and hacking. So they have a pretty good understanding of the different firmwares, and it sounds more like in this tweet that you're about to see, they're kind of sounding the alarm to get ready for something big coming, and this is what they had to say. It's important we get NIN updates up and running before 6.x drops. Yes, 6.0.0 is real and is getting very close to an official release. Now, this is Mike Heskin, who I said is a vulnerability analyst, and they actually will check out things and ways to exploit the Switch, and of course install some sort of modification to hack or mod the system, basically exploit it, and then of course they'll data mine to find those things. They followed up that tweet to go a bit further, saying, a friend of mine who's a registered developer warned me that it got uploaded to the developer CDN. It has been in beta for quite a while now. And I guess to go a bit further than that, on GBA Temp, they are talking about this currently, and they put a screen capture up for a Discord where people will be talking about different homebrew and things that are going on in the homebrew community for the Switch. And you can actually see a little excerpt here. Again, this is all rumor currently, but it's very interesting to see what everyone's talking about right now around this. As they say, this is not just a break homebrew update, it adds actual features, including 2 new web-based apps which will be added. Now, they also go on to say things like sandboxing for games, meaning piracy and custom NSPS are dead, with XCIs also being dead. And then they also mention a messaging system, which, all right, I guess it only took over a year to do that, but that's good. There are people who talk about needing a messaging system or at least wanting one, and it looks like that should be something I assume we can expect, right? We should be able to expect a messaging system at this point when we get to if we get to the point where we're paying for an online service and you can't even send a little message to somebody on your friends list, yeah, that's a little weird, right? So I assume that's going to be a thing that we can at least expect at this point. But there are other things happening now on the internet where people are showing off apparently that they have the 6.0.0 update, which is pretty hard to believe. So if you see that online currently, I wouldn't believe it. We've seen enough of those fake mock-ups. There are some that were done kind of for fun and they looked really cool and everything. And eventually we found out that yes, they were indeed fake and they were mock-ups. So if you see that going on right now online, more than likely it's probably fake and they're just doing it for fun, I would say. There are a couple though, and you may have seen them. It's not even really worth, I guess, showing them at this point. One actually showed a bit of a different home menu where there were several tiles instead of just a row. There were rows and columns of tiles. Then you kind of had your functions at the bottom, including your album and your settings and stuff off to the right. It looked really weird. It looked pretty bad too. So I would hope that's not what they're going with. There are much better ways to do it. So I wouldn't expect to find any leaked pictures, at least for now, online, especially when a lot of the people who have knowledge of the firmware at a coding level aren't even sharing pictures or anything right now. I wouldn't assume some random person on the internet to just be going on like Imager or something, showing pictures and then video of it. Now, I also go on to say that they will be expecting the update as soon as next week, and it doesn't necessarily need to have the update pushed at the time of the online service, as the online service and the paid-for service could be a switch on their end, and the 6.0 firmware could just be, again, laying the groundwork to get the system ready on our end, and they probably don't want to push the firmware and then immediately start charging, because there's a chance that pushing the firmware and then getting all that done all at the same time could cause issue, and more than likely they want to push this. And they've probably been pushing some stuff to get ready in stability updates, right? We see those all the time. Stability update, stability update. They're putting other things there. We've seen it where people have found full-on NES emulators just kind of dropped on there and stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily say that every stability update is something, but there's a good chance they are laying the groundwork in some of those updates for the big online service. So let's talk about some of the stuff that we want to be in this online service, stuff that I guess is more realistic, right? I mean, we're not going to get everything in this update. We've seen it before. Nintendo does add stuff over time, and I don't think this update is all of a sudden going to make the Switch be completely different, you know, like overnight. I do think they might mess with the home screen somewhat, because they have to add functionality for cloud saves, and that could be part of the icons that you have lined up, where instead of like you hit it and you go to like archive and stuff, maybe there's a way to check if you want it to have scheduled backups. So it might change a bit. I don't know if the overall layout would change, although I wouldn't mind seeing options for folders. That's like one of the biggest things right now is, can we please get folders? Because I've accumulated so many games, especially like lower cost indie games, that'll fill up your library very fast. Can we get some folders in there so I can seriously maybe make a folder for platformers, or maybe make a folder for any one I don't know, sports games, or who knows. Anyway, as long as you have a folder, maybe even for just alphabetize your collection, you put them all there, and that way you can kind of go in and you don't have to scroll through a bunch of stuff. You know your favorite games are in this folder that you have right at the front. That makes a ton of sense. We've seen it, of course, with other platforms like 3DS and everything. So I think that's probably one of the best things they can add, and I really hope they do. Themes, that's a very big one, is where you can customize your Switch based on either themes that they release or themes that you can create. I would like to see kind of custom themes where you can put pictures in your own backgrounds. I mean, it's your Switch, so why not? I don't think it's a big deal. And then they can release themes as rewards going forward, or maybe just ones that I guess you could buy. I mean, other platforms have had themes that you could buy for a while now, so they could do that, or maybe just release themes as just promotional material for new games. Like when Metroid Prime 4 is coming out, I would love to be able to download a theme from them to just drop on my Switch and be like, yeah, I'm getting ready for Metroid Prime 4. I got this really nice theme set up. And like we've seen PlayStation even release themes for the different PlayStation systems based on like benchmarks or celebration events based on sales or just lineage with some of their games. That would be pretty cool to see that kind of stuff. And I guess the last biggest thing is we're going to get access to cloud saves. And I have had some people talk about in the background that there is working in progress, at least right now, for offline saves, and it does come down to them trying to protect the system from piracy, which has kind of gone off the rails anyway at this point. So I don't know if that's the worst thing to worry about when it comes to saves, since a paperclip can hack the system at this point. I get that they don't want to exploit what they've done now, which is patch the system and work to fix it against people who are hacking it, and they're worried that a saved game could potentially open the door back up. But I hope that they do get it worked out, because every other system does have a way to back up for free offline, and I don't think it's too much to ask as a consumer to be able to back up our saves and not have the way to back up your saves behind a paywall. It's not an issue asking Nintendo for that, guys. I'm telling you, it's fine. So they should have no problem giving us that option along with the paid option that most people are probably going to buy into for $20 a year anyway. And obviously, I think the cloud saves are fine behind a paywall as long as there is a way to back up your saves locally for free, offline and everything. Maybe you put it on a USB stick, or just the option to back it up to an SD card. Seriously, just your SD card that you use all the time. Just have a way to back it up to there, and then the system can do its checks and encrypt it, whatever you got to do. I really don't care at this point. If you have to encrypt it and everything, fine. And that way we can get our saves off the system and not necessarily have to worry about having the paid service to upload to the cloud. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for Rumor Wave today. It looks like we, more than likely, as we all expect, we are going towards that 6.0.0 firmware update. It sounds like it's coming probably a week or two before the official online drops, and you can look forward to hopefully some different features. It sounds like there's some stuff happening in the background right now for this, and it won't be like that jump to 5.0, which I know for some people was kind of disappointing because there wasn't a lot of stuff there. I remember we were talking about like the controller grips and the Joy-Con colors being pointed out as being colored on the controller menu. That's like where we were with that, because it wasn't like groundbreaking. This one sounds like it might have a lot more functionality, and of course it will apparently enable the paid online. So we'll see what happens here. Let me know what you guys think about this down below, and also let me know what features you would like to see added for the 6.0.0. They were talking about like 2 web applets and stuff, like things that we probably can't figure out right now, but when it does become apparent, we'll be like, oh, that's cool, that's good. So I hope it is a big update. I don't think it's going to be like game breaking, but I hope it's at least a big update that's like really cool to see and everything. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit dislike if not, and I'll see you guys in the next video.